Hey everybody, welcome to On Cinema. I am your host, Tim Heidecker, and we are joined as usual by my guest, the one and only Greg Turkington, film buff, guy who knows actually a lot about movies and...
Well, I do. Especially this today.
Well, let me introduce...
Okay, yeah, sorry.
The film we are doing today is a James Bond movie, 007, and it is For Your Eyes Only.
Yeah. I've been waiting for this episode for a long time because the Bond series is my favorite series of movies, and I've seen them all, and I love them all, and this is one of my favorite entries in the series.
Okay.
And it'd be great talking about it. I mean, I'd love to do a whole James Bond special and go over all the movies.
Well,
but
there's so many.
I know, but I've seen them all. So
okay.
And this one's from Roger Moore, the Roger Moore series. Of course, you had Sean Connery, and then you had Roger Moore. There was not a lot of people know this, but in between you had George Lazenby, and this was the Roger Moore part. And for my money, this is the best one.
Really,
of the Roger Moore era, definitely.
Okay. And this is just a spy movie, or?
Well, I mean, you know, they all are in a way, but this has got something extra, and it's very exciting, and it's got a great theme song.
Who did the theme? Was there somebody famous that did the theme? I know because Paul McCartney
Tina
did
Marie,
one. Paul McCartney did the
Live and Let Die.
And that's a different movie.
And Tom Jones did Thunderball, which is one of my favorite of the films.
Who else was in this movie besides Roger Moore?
I think Grace Jones, was in it. But this one takes place, again,
tell us
always
a
at
little bit about
exotic locales, and lots of women and cars and alcohol and spy decoder rings and gadgets.
Well, obviously, we get it. We get that it's a James Bond movie and appreciate that.
But this one had a twist, and that's why you should see it.
All right, well,
and I've
there
seen
you go.
it.
Greg
I've seen
recommends...
it twice, and I also recommend any of the Roger Moore, any of the Sean Connery, and I also recommend the George Lazenby one, but not some of the recent. Some of the recent ones are great, but not as good.
All right, thanks. And then For Your Eyes Only. I know that these are released on DVD, so check it out if you can.
There's a box that you can get with several of the Roger Moore in one set.
Good. All right, thanks for listening to On Cinema.
And Moonraker, too.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tim. Hey everybody, welcome to On Cinema. I am your host, Tim Heidecker, and I'm with my guest, Greg Turkington. Thanks for being here for this. This is a sort of a serious episode. Saving Private Ryan.
Oh,
the Steven Spielberg movie with Matt Damon.
I didn't know that we were doing that one today. I thought we were doing a comedy.
No.
I thought we were doing the National Lampoon Vacation. So it's a different mood, but okay, let's go with it.
Yeah. Have you ever seen this movie?
Yeah, I have seen it. Not the whole thing.
Right.
I saw it on TV.
Yeah, well, you know who plays it a lot?
Didn't see
TNT.
I didn't see all of it.
TNT plays it a lot. TNT plays it a lot.
It's on the top of my list. I mean, I've seen most of the top. If you see go online and search for top 100 movies.
Oh yeah.
I've seen most of them. This one,
That's a good idea to every once in a while check that list and even copy it. And
it changes all the time too, because a lot of new great new movies are coming out. But I always meant to see this one. I have to admit, I fell asleep. It was very late. It was on TV. Too many ads. That's a problem with watching late night movies. Is you get an ad every 5 minutes, and it kills the momentum as opposed to renting it on video or DVD, or buying a copy for your own film library. So I can't say I've seen the whole thing.
I did see the whole thing. I actually saw it in the theater, as all movies should be seen.
It's not always practical, though.
No, but in this case, I was lucky enough to catch it when it was out, and I saw it, and it was very graphic. It was very real, is the word, and it was.
I missed it when it came out. It just it came and went. You know.
Well, it was a very successful movie from where I was. and it was very gritty, real. It was about World War II. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I got that it was about World War II from what I saw about half of it, but I don't know how it ended. And we talk about that after the show, I guess. Off,
Yeah, I do not want to. This is not a place to get spoilers.
but it's a
where we give
departure for Steven Spielberg. I want to add that, and that's obvious. Even if you've only seen half of it, you can tell this is
well-
not your. This is not E.T.
Definitely not. But he had just made Schindler's List, so it is not that much of a departure from that. Anyways, that's. I think it won should have won the Academy Award.
I'm sure it won some. I mean,
So-
best costumes or something, but yeah, it should have won a lot of them.
and Tom Hanks was in it as well, and that was a good couple of. He had made a bunch of movies that year,
Oh, yeah,
or around
okay.
that time. He had done Castaway and Big, or Big was earlier, but Philadelphia.
Philadelphia Story and also Forrest Gump.
All right. Well, check out. It's again a serious movie about World War II and the Germans and the military war that happened during that war. And
And I guess it's not the Nazis.
okay, well, check out Saving Private Ryan. It's a movie about World War II and the military battles that happened during that war, and it is about soldiers
And
too.
take my advice and don't watch it late at night on free TV. Try to see it in the theater if you can, like Tim did, because I think that's how they intended for it to be seen.
Excellent point. Thank you, Greg, as always, and we'll see you next time on Cinema. Hey everybody, my name is Tim Heidecker, and you're listening to another episode of On Cinema. It's a podcast where I talk about some movies, famous movies, old movies, new movies. And this week, since it is the month of February, we are celebrating Oscar and talking about a film that was nominated and won an Academy Award. And that film is Kramer versus Kramer. And here to talk about it with me is film buff, a film historian, a friend of mine, Mr. Greg Turkington.
Hey guys, good to be here, especially with Oscar fever in the air. Fun stuff.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out a good movie to talk about. Obviously, a lot of films have won Oscars and have gotten a lot of attention because of some deserved, some not deserved. But I figured
It's debatable.
that this was a good one because not only was it an Academy Award winner, but it had some Academy Award winner actors in the movies as well. In the movie as well, for example, Dustin Hoffman and
Meryl Streep, who won the Oscar, and I think the kid. God, what's the kid's name? I think he won too for Best Supporting Actor, and the movie itself also won, and probably set some records. It was a big movie, and it was a big year for movies. 1979, big year.
Yeah, it was about divorce, and it was. I actually remember seeing this movie on HBO. How's how I originally saw it, and it was an
I saw it on
interesting story
TV.
about. That's what I mean. I saw it on TV as well.
Yeah, but I saw it on free TV.
Well, either way,
Didn't pay for it, so it was kind of that could make a movie all the more fun when you're getting something for free.
sure. But this is really about the way sometimes people think of divorce. You think that a woman's going to raise the boy. But in this case, in the film, we find out that Dustin Hoffman character is going to be raising the boy. And pardon me, this is a shoot.
That could tear the family apart.
Yeah.
A divorce.
Yes. Anyways, so that movie came out. It did win Oscars, and it's well deserved. Not like some other movies that would show me being which shall remain nameless.
Well, they're not nameless because everyone knows what they were. And
Okay.
if you are a film buff, you especially know what they were. But Kramer versus Kramer is one of my favorites. I mean, it's a 10 out of a 10. And if you haven't seen it, this is your chance.
All right, Kramer versus Kramer. Check it out. It's on DVD, and it is now available to you at DVD on DVD.
And I'd like to see a sequel. Like if
Where Are They Now?
well, like if the kid got divorced, that would be interesting. Just sort of with his parents as sort of grandparents dealing with the custody of his kids. It could be interesting. I don't know.
Something to think about. All right, thank you very much, everybody. Hey everybody, welcome to On Cinema. My name is Tim Heidecker. I'm your host. It's a podcast where we talk about cinema. So we pick a movie, and I pick a movie, and basically talk about it.
I picked a few of them.
Well, let me introduce my guest, Greg Turkington, who's my guest today.
Hey guys, good to be here and sharing my opinions and my expertise for all the film.
Anyway, so let
me
me just say what our movie is today. I discovered this kind of randomly. I guess I was checking out if anybody has a Netflix on demand, where you can use your websites. You can use your computer on the website for Netflix to watch movies. They have a ton of movies up there, which is really cool. And I found
Hundreds
this
of movies.
I found this crazy movie called Trinity and Beyond, which is a documentary. We don't usually do documentaries, but I think thought we'd mix it up a little bit. And Trinity and Beyond is a 1996. It's a documentary about the creation of the atomic bomb and nuclear war and the sort of proliferation of nuclear war and through the Cold War. And anyways, it's narrated by William Shatner from Star Trek, and it was really, it was. He was great, and it was. I guess. Have you seen it?
Shatner's always great. I love anything he's in, and even those Priceline advertisements are really funny, and so he'd be a good narrator if you're going to have somebody narrate, because it's a voice you trust, and I think that.
Have you seen the documentary? Because it's I don't know, I think you would love it. It's they found all this footage, all this I guess it was classified.
It could be faked footage. I mean, you don't know. I mean, especially if you're watching this thing on the internet, it's it could be faked footage.
I don't think so. They at the end they sort of said that this was all declassified stuff from the Navy and everything. So it was really amazing to see, sort of at the very beginning when they were testing these atomic weapons, that they didn't know what they were going to do. They didn't know the damage that they were going to do. So they were testing them on all kinds of different places. Anyways, it made you really think about how terrible nuclear war is, obviously.
Yeah, well, it's a good movie. I'd prefer to see Shatner on the screen, not just behind the microphone, because he's one of my favorite actors.
Well, in this case, you can't have your cake and eat it too, I guess. It is available on Netflix. It's chilling is the word I like to use for this movie, because it is so it gets under your skin, because how terrible nuclear war is.
Well, I think I think I'd rather watch a good comedy or a good drama or something that can get under your skin too. And
I know, but we're talking about this movie.
This isn't a classic though. We usually talk about classics. This isn't a classic, so.
It's. I think it could be potentially a classic. I mean, it's only from the '90s, and a lot of documentaries like Hoop Dreams and other movies that are documentaries can be considered classics. They
Well,
don't have
anything
to
could be a classic, but
I know, but my
this
point
isn't.
is that no.
This isn't a classic.
Well, I'm recommending it to you that you should check it out because it was very
yeah,
disturbing.
I checked it out. I'm not interested.
All right. Well,
would
I'm
re-
recommending it. It's my show, so I'm recommending it to people and saying if you want to see something interesting and learn a little bit about American history and about nuclear weapons and war and the atomic bomb, so people like Oppenheimer and
Yeah.
Truman and
Yeah,
the Cuban Missile Crisis and
and
whatnot.
I'm recommending you don't watch it. 2 thumbs down.
All right. Well, you haven't seen it, so that's not fair, and that's not the kind of
Well,
program we
you don't
do,
know
so-
if I've seen it or not. but
You just told me you didn't, so I'm pretty sure we can go back and listen to that and say you
I said
never
I
saw it.
checked it out, so
Okay.
I I guess I just like movies that some people worked on, like screenwriters and actors and cinematographers.
Well,
and-
there's an actor in the fact that William Shatner did the voices for it, and then there's also editors, and then there's a director who put it all together. So you're wrong. And thank you very much for listening. Go check
Yeah.
out Infinity and Beyond.
or something else.
Or I'm sorry, the heck is the name of it?
Not a memorable movie.
Oh, Trinity and Beyond. I thought Infinity and Beyond's the Toy Story. Anyways, have a great week. Hey, everybody, welcome to my cinema podcast called On Cinema. My name is Tim Heidecker. It's a podcast where we talk about different movies. Last week we talked about a movie called Trinity and Beyond, hosted by William Shatner, which was a documentary about nuclear war. And this week, because of Netflix, sorry, my guest is Greg Turkington. Greg, thanks for coming on.
Hey, yeah, thanks. Glad to be here. Not a big fan of today's film, but you know, that's
Well, there's two movies actually.
Different
So
opinions
here's what
to make a
happens.
podcast, so.
Yes. So what happened is I watched this movie on Netflix Instant, and the cool thing about Netflix Instant is,
Which I don't have, so I'm kind of at a handicap here.
well, you can. It's so easy to sign up. I could show you in 2 minutes, but we're not going to do that now. So what happens is after you see a movie on Netflix Demand, you immediately are given recommendations. So, for example, if you had seen
Kramer versus Kramer.
Kramer versus Kramer, it might recommend Tootsie, or it might recommend another Dustin Hoffman movie, or another movie like Kramer versus Kramer, like what's a movie about divorce?
Oh boy.
Anyways, you understand what I'm saying. So at the end of Trinity and Beyond, it recommended 2 movies. One was Atomic Cafe.
Ordinary People.
Yes. Anyways, the movie after Trinity recommended me. The Netflix after I watched Trinity said you would like this movie called Atomic Cafe. And I thought I heard of it. I thought I'd seen that movie before because there was a movie called Baghdad Cafe, if you remember that.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, so that wasn't that, but then it recommended even another movie called Radio Bikini. So I watched those both, and I was gonna say that these
These
movies,
aren't really movies, though. This is
well, they definitely are movies. They're just documentaries. They're not traditional.
I mean, they're
but
just- it's-
this isn't becoming a documentary review
Well,
channel.
yeah, it kind of is.
but-
Because these aren't really. They didn't play in theaters. It's just on Netflix, which not everybody has, and they're not really movies. They're just somebody's opinion, and it's
Okay,
Not,
well, we'll get back to regular programming next week. What I wanted to just say is that these movies touched me and upset me in a way that was very moving. And if you haven't seen them, all I'm doing is trying to get people to watch these cool movies. And
well,
I'm
they're
sorry
not really,
to say,
not really cool.
well, they're
movies.
cool in the sense that that makes you upset, and I start, very bad dreams
A
after
cool
that.
movie is something like Drive or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool movie. These are just
Yeah, but let me make this point. How come after watching Atomic Cafe and Radio Bikini, I had 2 nights worth of nightmares. So even if I watched something like Freddy got the
that's-
Freddy movies or
That's
whatever,
because you ate too much
No,
before dinner, too much pizza.
these were specific
Too
about
many
nuclear
pizza
war.
rolls.
These dreams were about nuclear war. So
Yeah,
even
but
if
a
I
lot
have
of-
hold on, let me finish my thought. Even if I watch the biggest horror movie, I've never had those kind of nightmares.
Yeah, but it's a lot of times if you eat too much. If you eat a lot of junk before bed, you'll have nightmares. It has nothing to do with a movie.
Okay. Well, regardless, check these movies out. It's more about nuclear war.
Don't
And,
bother. Don't bother.
The bikini one, you're thinking it's probably some kind of sex movie, but it's actually about the islands were
wish.
called Bikini, and they tested nuclear war there. It was terrible. A lot of people got hurt.
Yeah, well,
Anyways,
and if we could do How to Stuff a Wild Bikini with Frankie Avalon, any film buffs listening know what I'm talking about, and that was a good movie.
okay, well, let's just separate but equal. The documentaries are movies too, and we should be
They're
respecting them
movies
for-
if they play in theaters, but
They did play in theaters.
No.
Check it out.
No, they did not. So
All right. Well, you have no proof that they didn't. So thank you very much
Well,
for
I
listening
do,
and check out
'cause I
these
have a lot
movies.
of
And
old
we're not going to argue
newspapers.
about this
I
anymore.
have a lot
Thank
of
you
old
very much.
newspapers. I've never.
Hey everybody, this is Tim Heidecker. You're listening to On Cinema, the weekly podcast where we discuss some old movies, some new movies, and my guest is film expert, buff, Greg Turkington.
Historian. Hello.
Do you? How's your week?
It was good. I'm very excited to be doing this podcast. This is actually sort of anniversary 25th episode of the podcast. It's been going so great and getting so much good feedback and letters, cards, emails.
We do appreciate that.
And to get to the number 25 point is a milestone. So thanks to everyone that's been tuning in and sending the cards and letters and emails. And
Well, I didn't realize it was number 25. Otherwise, maybe I'd do something special. But play like the 25th Hour by Spike Lee movie. That would be cool. But I didn't have that planned. I got a different movie, so we can move on to that. It's Legal Eagles, which is a Robert Redford movie from the 80s. Celebrating its 20th anniversary this week. So just a little bit about this movie. It is a legal thriller. A lot of great chemistry between Robert Redford and the female leads, who's... I'm not sure if... Do you recall? I can't recall the name of
No.
1986. Oh, Deborah Winger.
From Urban Cowboy.
Yes. So that was Robert Redford in Legal Eagles. If you haven't
And-
checked that out, it's a good movie.
Set in
Philadelphia, I want to say.
the legal world.
Daryl Hannah also shows up in this one, and this is right around Splash.
It's on. It's frequently on TV, or you can rent it.
You can, definitely available on rental. And
I have a friend who owns it, so I just I would borrow his if I wanted to see it again, which I don't.
I wish your friend in this case was me, because I'd love to own that film. All right. Thanks for having us. And again, I guess it is our 25th episode. So terrific. Thanks for everybody for listening and supporting this podcast. Soon we'll have a sponsor, we hope, and then we can hopefully put a little more production value into these. But anyways,
There's nothing wrong with the production value.
No, just
be nice to be able to do like hour-long episodes.
Yeah. All right. Well, we don't have time for that today, so we'll say goodnight and listen to us whenever you can. Thanks. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. It's Tim Heidecker here setting you up for another episode of On Cinema, the On Cinema podcast where we talk about movies and all kinds of movies, not just comedies or dramas or documentaries or anything. My guest is film buff Greg Turkington. Greg, thanks for coming on.
Hey guys, it's always great to be here and also to read some of your letters and emails and
and Twitter too. I mean, this I noticed you're talking to a lot of the fans on Twitter.
Yeah,
and that's great.
A lot of them have suggestions for the show, and we do read all the suggestions. We can't always
Accommodate.
no, because people want you to do their favorite movie, and there's only so many hours in a day. So
Right.
we
Well,
will get
tonight's,
to some of them, though. We definitely will. The guy who
Well,
was
we'll see.
asking about The Lion King probably won't get to that one, but
Well,
we
we'll
will.
see.
We will get to some of the others.
I'll make my list and then we'll go through it. Anyway, today's movie is a Woody Allen movie. We haven't talked about a Woody Allen movie yet. He's one of my favorite directors. And
Mine too.
And just from the beginning, he's always made interesting, funny movies. Some of them,
He's a genius.
definitely. And it's funny because he almost looks like he's a cartoon character or something because
And
of his
they had a
glasses and-
cartoon. There was a cartoon with him as a playing himself as a cartoon.
So, just a quick bio on him. Woody Allen was famous in vaudeville and Jackie Gleason, like old TV shows and stuff, and then got his own movie. So he made his own movies early on in the '60s, and then kept making them and became more and more famous for him. Of course, he made movies like Annie Hall and
Bananas.
and
Manhattan.
anyways, but the movie we're going to talk about today is a little bit different. It's called Scenes from a Mall, starring Woody Allen and Bette Midler.
And this one's one of my favorites. It's very funny. Bette Midler is always, I've always liked her. She's very funny in this. She's funny in everything she does. She's a great singer. If you ever saw Beaches, she's got a dramatic side too. That movie, broke my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's good to see her paired with Woody because together they make a great team.
Yeah, it is sort of like a modern day film, like a Lucy and whoever the other guy was in that show. But
Mr. Desi Arnaz.
Yeah. So the movie takes place at a mall, and everyone thinks it's kind of a good premise because we all picture Woody sort of walking the streets of New York, kind of taking it. Not
They have
the last
they
place
have
you'd
malls
see.
in New
Let me
York,
just finish
though.
my thought.
But they do have malls in New York.
I understand, but my point is the last place you'd picture him would be in sort of at a mall. He'd be like sort of down in the
I could picture
in the
him at a
Village
mall.
or something, New York, which I love the Village. When I'm in
But
New
I
York.
could easily picture him at a mall because it doesn't matter how big of a star you are, and I don't think there's many stars bigger than Woody Allen, but you've got to shop.
I know.
You've got to get new slacks and
I
new
know,
shoes.
but
And
my point is that's what makes the comedy of the film work is because you're putting a character that you wouldn't normally see in a mall, and that's why he's such a great director. Is he's able to see what's funny about a situation because if you put somebody where they don't belong, then that becomes funny.
yeah, I think
That's a
that-
rule of comedy.
I think that most stars do shop at malls. I think it's not out of the question that you would see Woody Allen at a mall.
All right, well, check it. It's one of my favorite movies of his. It's very funny, very disrespectful, and sort of irreverent, in the most beautiful, in the best way possible.
Yeah, I think Woody Allen defined modern film comedy, and we should tip our hat to him and see this movie and buy it. If you have the money and you want to own something, add it to your film library.
That's right. Own a Piece of History, which is one of Woody's greatest movies, starring Bette Midler, of course, starring Woody Allen himself, and anybody else in this movie that I'm forgetting.
I mean, it's a big cast. All his movies have a big cast. He works with a lot of the same people every time, and they're sort of like family. That's what makes his movies so great. Is it's like spending time with family.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Greg, for coming in and doing this with me.
Yeah.
I appreciate your help.
Glad I could help, and thanks again to all our fans and to Mr. Woody Allen.
And thanks to Woody Allen, not his real name, but that's for another night. All right. Take care and have a great week. Hey everybody, my name is Tim Heidecker. You're listening to On Cinema podcast where we talk about different films, old and new, classic, not so classic, comedy, western, drama, all the above. My guest is Greg Turkington, and we're
Hey
here
guys,
to talk about a movie came out in the 70s called Grease.
Grease, one of my favorites.
Yeah, Grease was with John Travolta, and it's actually a musical.
It's a musical. It was a big hit in the 50s, and they brought it to the silver screen finally, and Travolta has never shined brighter. This is one of my all-time favorites, and it should be one of yours.
All right, so check out
Check out the original. The sequel, Grease 2, no Travolta, and that's a little more modern.
So check out Grease, starring John Travolta. It's always on TV, but you can also probably find a copy of it at the video store or even on Netflix.
Frequent flea markets, you can find it there.
And it's actually on Broadway now too. So if you're in the Broadway, you can see it.
It's not
live.
the same thing.
All right. Thanks very much for listening.